Welcome to another edition of the Sports Show. This is Emdad, the Wandering Londoner. And as you all know, we like to focus on community matters. Do you know the Sports Show? Some people ask me why I don't have household names on here. I have actually. Over the course of the last 2 decades, I have. When I say household names, international, global icons. So it's not just a case of the Sports Show always focusing on the grassroots, but actually that is my passion. I like to focus on the little guy or the little girls within our community, those with obscure projects that are really serving the community, those projects and initiatives and projects and sporting stories that would never usually make the light of day simply because there's no economic value to a lot of media outlets by featuring them as well. And I like to eke them out. As a son of the community itself, it's always been my passion to highlight issues. But again, some people say, you know what, you're a sports presenter that only focuses on people who who you don't really know, who has something. But just to set the record straight, Emdad, the Wandering Londoner, has actually met a lot of people. I remember a good 5-6 years ago, well, actually it's closer to 10 years ago, there's a gentleman called Paul Trevelyan. Now, when I was a youngster growing up in the 80s and 90s, I used to read a magazine called Shoot Magazine and Match Magazine, which I used to buy on a weekly basis without fail. I used to spend all my pocket money buying that as well. But there used to be an artist called Paul Trevelyan, and what he used to do was he used to create these brilliant artistic pieces and caricatures of football players. And you know, I was just obsessed with collecting the posters. They used to put it in the middle so you could take them out. Some of them I used to hang on my cupboard. Some on my walls as well. I got to meet him via the Sports Show. I got to invite him to the studio where he came on LB24, the Sports Show. It was a great moment for me. But aside to that, I met, the biggest name I probably met was the boxer Lennox Lewis. Again, a great moment. You think to yourself, an obscure channel like LB24, the Sports Show as well. I met David Haye, who even today, you know, the world champion boxer David Haye, who even today I maintain is the most genuine and nicest sportsman I've ever met. And this is now, you're looking at 10 to 15 years since I've met him. So the Sports Show, you know what, has got kudos in certain circles, but me having full control over the content that we deliver on my show, I've always emphasized the fact that I like to concentrate and focus on community issues because that is my passion. I'm a son of the community and I like to talk about issues which affect the community, but also to highlight the efforts made by the heroes from within our community. Now, today we're going to talk about, our subject matter is Jagannathpur Sporting Club. And I've got 3 very special guests here with me in the studio, and we'll introduce them as we go along during the day. Now, over 10 years ago, Jagannathpur Sporting Club, they came to my attention and the attention of everybody in the UK footballing fraternity, for example, when the sporting club joined other Thanas and Upazilas from the greater Sylhet region of Bangladesh to include a sporting team, a football team, in Sunali Otit's Greater Sylhet Upazila Cup. For me at that time, the first year I was a media manager for BNE Wazara, and I remember vividly hedging my bets, and I thought to myself, that team that's going to win it is going to be actually Jagannathpur Sporting Club, simply because they had a heritage there. They had some of the heroes from within our community. A lot of the players that we watched there, they were not the first generation of footballers that we watched as kids as well, but they were from that second batch, and they were iconic footballers from within that community. And I was thinking to myself, it turns out that all these icons that we watched growing up, they all seem to be from Jagannathpur for all of a sudden. And you know, I used to go and play football in the gut in Brick Lane. That in itself is a subject for the Sports Show as well. And there were so many Jagannathpuris who used to turn up there as well. Suddenly, we didn't know at the time, and then Jagannathpur put a team into the Greater Sylhet Upazila Cup, and you see all these household names competing there as well. But enough about me yapping on about this as well. I'm going to turn to my 3 guests. I've got Nanu here, I've got Hafiz here, I've got Rakib here. Welcome to the Sports Show.
Thank you.
Nanu, for the benefit of, and I know everything that's to know about,
Okay.
you know, I'm actually an aficionado and a great fan and supporter of not only the sporting club as well, but the people behind it as well. I've always found you guys seriously enterprising in what you do as well, but always on the front foot as well. If you can give us a little bit of the background to the sporting side of Jagannathpur Sporting Club?
I can actually. There's so much to talk about, honestly. I mean, Laku will tell you, the logistics of how we actually came about. But I'll give you a 30 seconds nutshell, what actually happened. 10 years ago, as you mentioned, the Upazila became a thing, okay? And Jagannathpur had to join because there's so many of us Jagannathpuris around everywhere, and we had to get everyone together and compete in these types of competitions, okay? But since then, obviously, Jagannathpur as a club has expanded in many ways, which Hafizur is going to explain in a while, because he's currently the chairman of our organization now, and he's been behind some of our successes as well. So, Hafizur, can I just pass it on to you to explain? Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to everybody in the community. Thank you, Emdad Bhai, for inviting Jagannathpur Sports Club UK to your show. We really appreciate it. And thank you for brothers who's come along with us. Okay, so you touched a little bit about the sports club. So roughly about 10 years ago, Shunaliotit UK started their first journey of Vets Upazila. And from there, Jagannathpur Football Club was born. And not only Jagannathpur, many other Upazila teams started their journey roughly that time. So over the years, alhamdulillah, like you said, we've not gone and won the Vets tournament, but every year we've come back stronger and better. And our fans just grew and grew and grew. We had a huge support from not only the Jagannathpur family, our sponsors, but we've had huge support from outside Jagannathpur. And on that note, I must mention some key people that was in the background. So you got the likes of Arazali Bhai, Bokul Bhai, the lifeline of Jagannathpur, Kashim Bhai, Manik Bhai, Jamal Bhai, Suluk Bhai, Sana Bhai, Muj Bhai, Mujahid Bhai, Khalis Bhai, Shamim Bhai. So these seniors have put their time in difficult times because they started the journey, and alhamdulillah they were able to engage our crowd, if that makes sense. So this generation of people, and what we're trying to do is engage the newer brothers with energy, brothers that want to come along and do better things. So alhamdulillah, I wanted to thank our murubbis, our seniors, for giving us this platform. And as the years went, if I start off last couple of years, we saw that we have a team of dragons who are exceptionally doing so well in paddling, nokabais, and this is where the likes of Nanu Bhai, we had, sorry, I'm not the best with names, but we've had Sanwar Bhai, Nanu Bhai, Farad Bhai, Sadiq. These brothers are from North. The passion that they have, how they're united together. And for us, it was only fair if we opened up from football, went into a sports club UK, getting other sports involved. So our Dragon Nokabai's journey started from there. And I'm sure Nanu Bhai will explain more in details about Nokabais. But we really appreciate the work they've put in, how they've engaged with us. We've expanded since they've come in. It's a different vibes altogether, right, guys? And then, alhamdulillah, 2 years ago, again, from back of British Bangladeshi Sporting Network, where, again, Bokul Bhai is involved in this, and we started our cricket journey. So we got a brother called Salman, who is mainly managing the cricket. It's been the second year, and he's done exceptionally well. He's got a great team behind him. He's working really hard in the background. And alhamdulillah, 2025, we are now in our second year of Jagannathpur Sports Club UK with football, with nokabais, with cricket. And on that note, I want to thank our sponsorship. Over the years, it was the sponsorship that gave us that support in terms of funding. If it wasn't for sponsorship, it would have been a difficult journey. Like recently, we had a brother from Mochi, Sayed, Naeem, Mansoor. We've had Tipu Bhai from Unisoft, we had a brother Kadir, a mortgage advisor, and we've got many more sponsorship in the background. And I want to thank all of our sponsorship. You know, they were the key part of establishing this club. And I'm sure in years to come, we will get more and more sponsorship.
On that note, is it fair for me to say that Jagannathpur are like the Abu Dhabi of community sports?
Well, thank you very much.
Because they are the Abu Dhabi of community sports. Because, again, the thing that intrigued me 10 years on was, in a very pleasant way, I was astonished to know that Jagannathpur was the only team that had 5-year sponsors lined up. Yeah. Do you remember right at the beginning? And I was sitting there with my jaw dropping. I'm thinking, here's me struggling to buy a kit. But look at what a tremendous community that people have actually lined up and said, actually, Nanu, you can't just jump in, mate, because Hafiz is ahead of you. But you can join the queue.
Absolutely. There's two things to that. Number one, the strength and the unity that we have in UK. And number two, our seniors, the likes of Bokul Bhai, Aroz Ali Bhai, they face value brought in those funding in. Do you understand? The trust they had in the community, wherever they went, people were willing to fund. And I hope that this continues with our generation and the next generation.
Rakib, these two gentlemen have mentioned some household. Honestly, some of the names that they've mentioned here as well. I mean, just an example for myself, for example, Sanabai. He's still playing for me in the Intercity Cup. You know, the revolutionary new league that was launched last year. It's been a long 8 months. And we finished as champions, and he's still ripping it up on the pitches as a 56, 57-year-old, going strong as well. For you, being the younger member of the panel here, how important has it been for you looking at the historical aspect of the efforts of these people? Now, we're going to, Sanabai is by no means the oldest. He was the second generation of people. You know, got people like Aroz Bhai, for example, who were actually the first pioneers going back as well. You know, they've mentioned some really, really, really big names from within our community. And again, thanks to Sonali Otid. If it hadn't been for Sonali Otid, nobody would have known where they're from as well. How important has that been for you, from the current crop, from the current generation, to know that there were actually heroes and predecessors that were there before you who laid down and put the paving down for us to excel and succeed in today?
Absolutely. It's been absolutely vital. I mean, I'll use Sanabai as an example, but the other person, as Laku Bhai mentioned, was Mujahid. He's from Sharfara, and both of them used to have the lovely battles between Mohammedan and Shadwell over the years, and that's what we grew up watching on the side, seeing them battle, then finding out that actually Sanabai is actually from Jagannathpur. You see Muj and you see all the others, and then joining them together when it came as part of the Upazila journey, we took it one stage further with our union tournaments. So what we created then was the union tournaments, which each specific union of Jagannathpur had their own teams. We then created even more sub-teams, so you'd have like a Sharfara team. Muj was instrumental in that. When I went to Sharfara, I said, well, Muj is going to come and play. Please come. All of a sudden, we had 16 10-a-side teams ready to play just from Sharfara alone. Imagine if we did that with Soitfur and then all the other unions, we would probably be able to hold like a tournament just for Upazila, just for Jagannathpur, probably about 150 odd players easily, isn't it?
But Nanu, I got pulled up by a guest recently in the show because I'm a writer, I do news reporting, I blog about sports, I've got an obsession with reporting on community sports especially as well. As far as I know, Jagannathpur had the first Union Cup because I was invited to it.
That's right.
And then everybody thought, oh, this is brilliant. Again, you know, like you guys were pioneers as well. Absolutely. I am correct in that because I remember vividly Jagannathpur having the first Union Club. It was Raniganj that won the first one. See, I even know that as well because I was there. Good memory. And Fatli won the second one. I've actually been to Fatli. I went and stayed there overnight as well.
They've now won it twice.
They've won it twice now as well. You know, they've won it twice. So it's not like I'm a nobody. I do know my. So I remember that. And again, so it was another pioneering move, isn't it?
It was, and again, our elders like Manik Bhai, Bokul Bhai, those are the people that actually showed us that it can be done. You know, so those were the guys that came out with the idea, the vision, And they said, look, if we can get all the entire Jagannathpur community in one place, that would be absolutely fantastic, because then everybody's going to begin to know everybody else. Because I was so surprised to find out so many of my teammates, my neighbors, community peers were also Jagannathpuris. I never knew that, you know, and that builds relationship. So when the union tournament first was launched, and I think I wasn't the only person that was on the same boat. You know, we had Jagannathpuris coming from all over the country. Yeah. We had a few players coming from France. We had some coming from Qatar, a few from Dubai, because they all heard about it. You know, they thought it was absolutely fun.
The money men are you talking about, or just general?
No, in general, the players, absolutely, the players came from different countries to come and compete in that tournament itself. Brilliant. And it was an absolute success at the same time as well. And the amount of people I get to socialize with and understand which village. Then I find out that a dozen or so people who I've known for decades, you know, actually live about 2 doors away from me in Bangladesh. Literally 2 doors away. And I didn't even know that. And obviously I was surprised, they were surprised, everybody was surprised. So the first year was all about shock and awe. Oh my God, you live over there. Oh my God, I never knew. I've been to school with you all my life. You're my classmate. You know, we go different places. We've been to different countries together in holidays. And now all of a sudden I realize you only live 2 doors from me in Bangladesh. How could that be? So it was really, really a fantastic concept to start with. And obviously the Jagannathpur committee at the time gave it its full backing at the time. Everybody supported that. And you know, it's really nice to say that a project was run really, really nicely. It was a really nice project.
Can I just add to
Yes, of course.
Yeah. So what Nanu touched on is it's very, when I joined the club and the way I was presented, it wasn't just about football. It was about, remember, you got to connect to your roots. And your part of your journey is to get the youngest to connect to the roots. And like Nanu said, in the last 10 years, I was born in Sylhet. I knew I'm from Jagannathpur. I know I'm from Fatli, but my network in London with my roots were very minimum. All my friends were from Sylhet. When I joined Jagannathpur, I met cousins, uncles, lost cousins. This is all from back of the sports club. And moving forward, I've got a 20-year-old. He's recently joined the Open Age. And he said to me last night, Dad, he's studying university. He said, Dad, I don't want to leave this platform. This platform has really woke me up to my connection, my roots, even though he's gone to Bangladesh good 10, 15 times. So this is not just about sports. This is about us connecting to our roots, who we are, finding our lost cousins. And that's such a rewarding journey. It's unbelievable.
Rakib, why is heritage important? Some people say to me, you know what, you got Jagannathpur on here, you got Biryani Bazaar on the sports show. You know what, we're living in Britain now. We live in a multicultural society. The last time I had a conversation, in this exact conversation which I'm describing in the studio, I went outside and somebody called me a Paki. In 2025 I'm talking about. I'm not talking about 10 years ago, 20 years ago. You know that people are a bit more careful with how they use their language now. Absolutely. You know, so the example that's given is when you face racism, in the 80s and 90s it was the skinheads.
Yeah.
Okay?
NFs.
And the National Front. And they were in your face and they had their shaved heads and they came with their knuckle dusters and their chains and everything. Nowadays they wear Armani suits.
Absolutely.
And they use policies and procedures.
Institutional.
You know, which is even more dangerous as well. But it was like being in the 80s. Somebody called me. And then the case I was arguing, Rakib, is if you don't know where you've come from, you don't know where you're headed. Because in certain cases, despite we are amongst the most prosperous people when it comes to, and the most giving people when it comes to developing our communities as well. Yet there will always be a segment of our society that will always look at us as the other. So when that comes, I think to myself, the theory I have in place is I need to know where my heritage is, because I don't want to be like other communities where I've forgotten everything, where I'm from, who my grandfather was, where I originate from. And then I'm sitting there scratching my head and shedding tears thinking, you know what, these people are not accepting me. Why is heritage important?
It's absolutely vital. I mean, if you think about where we're from, obviously our skin color always gives it away as to where you're from, but it's like, especially if I bring it back to some of the footballing things, is that if you think about how our parents, the struggles they went through, like I know you guys are slightly older than me, what you guys faced in the 80s, but you can only imagine what they faced in the 60s and 70s. So I think you have to have an idea about where your roots are from, what they've been through, and what that actually defines you. And ultimately, what's inside you is what defines you.
Jagannathpur Sporting Club have now, again, like I said, it's a pioneering group of people. And the names that you guys just touched upon, I mean, there's too many people to name. But some of the names that you guys have mentioned, they're not only big in Jagannathpur, they're giants within our community. The whole community is proud of these people. If we didn't know they were from Jagannathpur, they would still be lauded by the whole community. They always have been. It's only in the last 10 years we know who's... You mentioned that, so it's only in the last 10 years, as a result of the Sonali Otit introducing the Upazila Cup, that we actually know, oh, this person. But before that, it was all a case of, this guy's a complete hero. And now they've been mentioned, actually there's a whole number, and there's a roster and a line of people from Jagannathpur actually who are actually community icons going back. Now, you as a sports club, because of the efforts of these people as well, who have decided a long time ago that sports is a great way to engage, you've now diversified. So you started with the football, and now you've got several strands now, haven't you?
We do actually, yeah. So started off with Upazila Veterans Football. That went extremely well. And then more recently moved into cricket, Naukabais, which is a dragon boat race. And lastly, we've also moved into the Upazila Open Age, which came very recently. And that's a whole new different dimension that we can talk about all night. Absolutely fantastic concept, really amazing. So if I talk about the dragon boat racing, dragon boat racing has been around for several years, many years now. You know, it wasn't really big in the community. I think Birmingham started off doing the what they call the Naukabais, okay? And when it first came to London, was about 4 years ago, okay, I knew there was a lot of interest, but I myself was already paddling for a different club altogether. Okay, so I wasn't really interested in coming into Jagannathpur Club, you know. So I think previously it was Lukman Bhai who actually took the lead from Jagannathpur to enter a dragon boat in the charity boat race. Okay, but what I realized afterwards was that, well, hang on a second, you know, I'm from Jagannathpur myself. Okay, and if there's an opportunity for me to get involved in the charity boat racing where it doesn't clash with my existing club like Shadow Dragons, then why don't I do it? Okay, let me participate. And then what I realized was, hang on a second, Jagannathpur didn't do very well in that first year. Okay, and I looked around and I said, we've got 5 or 6 ace paddlers in Shadow Dragons competing in national levels, almost pro, are from Jagannathpur.
Wow. Okay,
5 or 6 paddlers in a club called Typhoon. They do international races, they're pro team, 4, 5, 6 of them are, you know, from Jagannathpur itself. Then I looked at North, I looked at Sanwar Bhai, I looked at Sadiq Bhai, you know, they're all up there, absolute ace paddler. And I thought, do you know what, if I can bring that team together, we've got a chance of winning. Okay, so I went back to the board, I think Hafizur, you might remember, and I spoke to Lukman Bhai and I said, look, right, I've been in Shadow Dragons for a long time now. And I've got the experience to do something, okay? Now, if you guys, with your permission, if you want me to take Jagannathpur to the next level, I think we can do something here, because I can sense it. Is that okay? They gave me the full authorization. Yes. The next thing I do is I said, right, okay, I need a team. I can't do this by myself. I have some skill sets, but I don't have all the skill sets that is needed, okay? So I contacted Fuad Dipu, okay? He's our technical person. He looks at all of the videos, all of the analysis, all of the times and everything. I got him on board. I made a phone call up north to Sadiq Bhai. Sadiq Bhai, straight away, he said, yeah, I'm willing to help. I'm going to be part of the team. And I said, I need one more person. He said, Salman he's a sports scientist, you know.
Exactly.
He's
Wow, seriously?
Masters in sports.
All masters in sports. So, you know, Rakib, you can talk about all of his,
He's
you
my
know.
cousin. He's a
Yeah.
sports and conditioning coach, and he used to be at Leeds Rhinos rugby.
Yeah. So then I realized straight away that I have a fantastic breed of paddlers and a fantastic management team. And therefore we should be able to go places. Okay. So formed the team and started looking at how to actually participate in the tournament itself. And I got all the team together, and in the first tournament, after the first race, it was quite evident that we were going to win the entire race because our time broke all the previous records in our first race.
Seriously.
And we went on to winning that one. Okay, so that was really, really fantastic, you know. And I remember, Rakib, you can tell your journey around how you go into the team itself, because it's not easy. You know, JP has a lot of great, fantastic paddlers, you know. So then, you know, because we've conquered London, we decided to try and see what we can do in Birmingham. Now, Birmingham is a completely different kettle of fish, because in the charity boat race in London, it's all about the opposite. Okay. But in Birmingham, it's open to everyone, which means that you've got your pro levels coming in, you've got the international teams coming in, and the dynamics change every single year. But we thought, let's give it a try, you know, see if anything, it's going to be a good experience. Okay, so we participated, but we had some challenges. And the challenges were that you have the clubs who JP paddlers belong to, and they've been paddling for them for generations, you know. We can't just simply ask them to jump the boat and land on JP because they are loyal to their own club, and we didn't want to put them on the spot. So Shedwood Dragons was competing, you know, a pro-level team, Zanzibar, Typhoon, and a few other teams from Kerala and all that. They were all competing as well. So Jagannathpur paddlers were split across multiple boats. But I think in our first year, we came fourth. You know, I think we finished around 66 seconds that first year. Okay. Then we came on, last year, it was the second charity boat race under the new management. You know, that's myself, Fuad, Sanwar Bhai, and Sadiq Bhai, okay? We also won that in fantastic fashion. You know, absolutely great. You know, we won that as well. So that was 2 years running, you know. And you know what? After that second race, we started generating so much interest from the community. You know, people, even non-Jagannathpurs, are contacting me saying, how do I get into? How do I get into? Because they realize that it's a heritage thing. Yeah? Yes. Bangladesh is a delta country. Our forefathers have lived on water, on boats and everywhere. 6 months of the year, it was flooded. It was underwater, you know. So we have it in our blood. And what I've noticed is that when paddlers come in, they get the hang of it so quickly. It's not like football, you know. Football is technical in different ways. You know, you've got that physicality that you need in everything. You know, you need that awareness in the field and everything. Whereas dragon boat racing, it's the technique, and it comes so quickly to Bengali paddlers. It's just amazing, isn't it? It seems like it comes naturally. Okay. So anyway, so that was our second year. Then we went to Birmingham, which was only yesterday again, our second competition in Birmingham. We had the exact same challenges. You know, we can't get all of our paddlers in the same boat because they're loyal to their club. You know, it's a bit like the England team trying to compete in the Premier League and saying to, I don't know, or the FA Cup, and asking Wayne Rooney and Gerrard to join. And they're saying, well, I'm Liverpool. I'm going to stay with Liverpool. And, you know, and Rooney said, I'm staying with Manchester United. So you can't get all the paddlers. And we can't pressure them as well. And, you know, huge respect to those paddlers. To, you know, they're very principled. You know, they're not going to jump the boats just because we ask them to, you know. So yesterday's race, or the races, we shredded about 7 seconds. Now, the year before, we would have been clear winners, absolute clear winners. But because the dragon boat race scene is growing, it's becoming ever more competitive. We're having teams, not just Bengali community, we're having the Kerala community coming, Sri Lankan community, Indian community. They're all coming in and competing. And majority of them are doing nationals. So they're not just any team just practicing on a Sunday. They are practicing to win huge national and international tournaments. So you can imagine every year it becomes even more and more difficult. It's a bit like breaking the 100-meter race. You know, every year somebody breaks the record.
Yes.
And that doesn't happen that often in a 100-meter race, does it? You know, you had Lightning Bolt do that some years ago, and then before, you know, decades ago. But on the boat race, records are broken every year, so which means that everyone is giving the everything on the paddles. It's a different ballgame. In football, you're okay with just a water and banana. You know, when you're paddle racing, you need all that energy, that burst of energy, because when you go into that boat, this 1 minute, and if there's zero room margin for error. You make one mistake, the minor mistake, and I'll come on to that in a moment, that will happen to us. A minor mistake, you've lost distance, you've lost time. It just goes, yeah. But I mean, as it goes, we finished 4th place, a bit like last year. But had we had the exactly same teams in that same formation, with the new JP team coming in, we would have won, you know. So, but anyway, we're going to go it again. We'll see how it goes. And yeah, and Rakib can tell you all about how he got into the team, because I remember Rakib coming up to me last year after a win. He said, "Nanu bhai, I promise you I'm going to work hard to get into your team." And I'm not going to say anymore, so I'm going to get Rakib by saying his journey on how he came into the team from that promise that he made exactly a year ago.
No, so obviously I was part of the team as a sub on the final when we won it the second time in August last year. And you know, really happy, celebrating at the meal, you know, great stuff. But in the back of my mind is like, I want to be actually part of that final, paddling to actually win. And I know at the time I was about 148 kilos in weight. That's not going to work on a boat like that, right? So I knew that I had to make some changes, lose the weight, paddle more. So as soon as so between September, October last year through to April this year, I've managed to shed 40 odd kilos. Sanwa Bay has been absolutely critical. He's my cousin and he's a sports, you know, condition coach. I just said, look, give me a plan. I'm going to follow it.
So this is the gentleman who worked with Leeds Rhinos.
Yeah. So I just said, give me a plan. I'm going to follow it, because if you think you know, I've done weight training for 20 odd years. You go into the gym, first thing you want to do is go and bang out some chest and biceps and this, that, and the other. Yeah. He scrapped all of that. He said, listen, you need to actually think properly.
Really?
Yeah. So as in like functional movements. And he was even to the point, he would call me every week. He made sure that I followed the plan. So the plan focused on strength first. So that's working on the nervous system. So when we think of muscle building now, you always think, oh yeah, high reps, let's go and do 8-10 reps. That's going to break the fibers and you're going to build muscle. No. So it's like little basic things like that we grew up learning from magazines and watching Arnold Schwarzenegger or whatever. That's all the wrong concepts. And we've built bodybuilding concepts. And that's not the idea. Your idea is you need to be functional. You need to be able to move. You need to be explosive. Bodybuilders are not explosive. They just look good with a bit of baby oil on their body. Yeah. So that's the point of it. Like, we have got into this, especially probably our generation. I'm hoping the younger generation now are smarter to like use YouTubes or whatever to educate themselves in terms of how to do strength and conditioning and how to learn the right movements rather than going and just doing bench press and bicep curls. So he was really meticulous in that, in terms of following the plan. He knew that I would get into bad habits, as in ego lift and try lifting heavy and stuff like that. So he kept me on the plan. I've shedded the weight. And then as soon as the season started in April, March, I've been pretty much going in every week, both Shadwell Heath, Dragons, as well as whenever we can with the guys in Docklands and London Regatta Centre. So sort of like once, twice a week, paddling away, finally to get into the Birmingham squad yesterday. And hopefully, like I said, Nanu, in August, someone's spot is going to be mine.
We have been monitoring him.
Phenomenal. I mean, what he's just described there in terms of his journey. So you haven't always been a paddler, have you?
No.
So this is something that you...
Baller, right?
So I've played cricket, football. It's more and cycling, as you know. So I've done a bit of all of that, but paddling, no. It was just
the last 12 months, and you've enjoyed phenomenal success as a result. In terms of the changes that you've made, lifestyle changes, I know you've had expert advice as well, but has it been very difficult?
Oh, very tough. You could, like I said, what I was saying offline earlier is that what I get is mum, as soon as I've just done a hard workout, I'm thinking I'm not going to eat anything bad. First thing the mum says to me is like, could you highlight the food? You know?
Yes.
That one was
typical.
Yeah, so it's like, and you're trying to think, well, I'm in a fat burning zone, or I need to just wait, I need to have my protein, or whatever it is. It's hard, you know.
So, again, another typical question that would normally arise from people who are not so well versed in this subject is it about strength or is it about technique?
So this is an interesting one, because it's a battle that I have with the management team, because I know that in the team, I'm probably one of the strongest on the team in terms of physical strength. However, I've only been paddling for 3 months. So that's a fine balance that the management team have to continuously make. It's like, do we actually want to put Rakib on here? Because his technique might not be as good as some of the other guys. So the other guys might time it just that little bit better. They might be half of the strength of me, but I could actually be detrimental to the team.
Wow.
So that's how technical it is. Yeah,
it's the technicality that counts more than brute
Towards
force.
the result than brute force.
Because it's the sync, the style, how you put the paddle in the water, how you draw back, how you swim back out again, how you do in sync, how you follow instructions. Because if you watch the boat race from the sideline, all you see is a bunch of people going in there just paddling away like crazy. Okay, that's what you guys see, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
When you're in the boat, it's completely different.
It's fine margins,
because you go in the boat, the nerve starts kicking in.
Yeah.
First of all, you've got thousands of people watching. You need to win the race, or you're going home.
Yeah.
Once you get onto the starting line, you've got the helms shouting in your ear. You've got the captain shouting out the instructions and repeating themselves. Okay, and then you have the guys on the mic, trying to align the boats. Okay, so once the boats are aligned, they're not going to start until the boats actually line up. Okay, once the boats lined up, there's techniques of lining up as well, because sometimes you could be in a backward motion. How do you counter that? Okay, so I'm not going to give away any kind of trade secrets. You need to counter that as well, because if you're in a backward momentum when you're starting, and your competitors on a forward momentum on the starting line, it makes a huge difference. Okay, so how do you counter that? Okay, your starts is absolutely fundamental. How do you start? We could do a hang start, which is that your paddle doesn't touch the water, which means the hang start, or it could be a buried start, and then your starts could be a combination of very fast, strong 5, and then up to 5 again, and then up to 5 again, and then you could move into transition to reach. Or it could be you do your 10 very strong ones, and then you do 10 ups, which means faster than the first 10, and then after the second 3, you do a transition into the reach. Now, in each transition, there's techniques. You get it wrong, one person gets it wrong, it slows the boat down. Okay, so everybody needs to be in sync using the same technique. So you got 3 transitions before you go into the reach. And reach is all about maintaining the speed when you start. That's all you do. Okay, now sometimes if your technique isn't right, you're going to slow the boat down. Okay, if you slow the boat down, that means at the end you have to speed up again. Then the captain comes in. Right at the end of the race, they might say, step up, power of 10, and go into heavy reach and stuff like that. So there's so much going on in that under that 1 minute. It's just unbelievable. Honestly, unbelievable. That minute, it feels like all eternity. Seriously, it feels like there was so much information, so much technique, so much focus, so much strength, passion, and everything comes under that 1 minute. People don't realize. All they see is just a bunch of guys coming in there paddling away like crazy.
Can I just
That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
Well, one thing I would say is that in that 1 minute, so obviously a lot of the guys now use smartwatches, so you can start tracking how fast you're going as well as your heart rate. With most sports like football, you're running, you're walking a little bit, you're suddenly doing a little sprint.
Yeah.
I sort of, when I'm playing football, you can see the monitor the heart rate. You might have a few little peaks, but what I find surprising is that you're going into a dragon boat, your adrenaline's pumping. So you're probably about just above 100 or something like that as you're in the boat.
Already.
But one of the guys in our boat peaked at 206 beats per minute.
213.
Yeah, or Shazidul. My one hit 177. And that's just to go from almost resting, because you're sat in a boat just waiting for the start line. And it's a full body workout all the way from your toes, your legs, your back, your arms, your neck. Literally everything is working. Absolute explosion for 60 seconds.
Hafiz, how are you prioritizing? Because it's a very exciting time for Jagannathpur Sporting Club. You've got the football, you're making great progress in the open age. You're going to be there or thereabouts when it can. I'm talking from a punditry point of view, community pundit point of view, when it comes to the Veterans Upazila Cup as well. It's very special. It's been a 10-year journey, but things are coming to fruition. Even if you didn't enjoy the level of success which you hope to do, the fact that you're making so many friends along the way and the achievements in place. Now you've got several strands.
Yeah.
The first part of my question to you is, how are you prioritizing?
Right. So
which sport comes first, or are you just going all out with everything?
No, we're trying to be transparent and as fair as possible. Now, we've got a lot of areas that we can improve on. There's a lot of stuff that we need to focus on. But what we've understand is it's the second year. So it's very new to this journey of touching different sports. But within those second year, we've realized that we can't have specific sports as a priority. We've got to make sure that we balance all the sports. Yes, the first year there was some preferences, but now what we're looking to do is to sit down as a team, as a committee, to work on how can we be balanced, how can we be fair, and not only the boat race and the cricket and the football, how can we get more sports involved? How can we get sisters involved? How can we do more for our elderly? So our journey is a long one, but we've now come to that understanding that we love football. Let's be honest, we love it. But if we want to maintain and we want the better future for the sports club, we have to be transparent and balanced between all the sports. Now, my first ever journey as a Bengali, I've never seen Nauka bais. First time I went last year, and it took me off what these guys are talking about. I always thought you get on a Nauka, you just wrap your arms and you're going to win that race. My gosh, the amount of technical, the preparation. And when you meet Sanwar Bhai from North, who's the professional, semi-pro, who's got all the knowledge in the background, you're just listening to this guy and you're thinking, seriously? He needs that much work just to pedal? It's unbelievable.
I mean,
crazy, isn't it?
The work goes after each race as well, where we do the video analysis. We check all the times.
Yeah, and
everything.
You mentioned that. I was like, are you serious?
We have to. The first charity boat race we won is through looking at other people's times.
Yeah.
Because we need to
So
understand. We
analysis.
studied our opponents.
Yes.
The first season we studied our opponents. We looked at the style, their starts, the transitions, when they go into the reach, when they speed up, slow down and everything. We looked at all the data and we said, right, based on what the other teams are training on, this is the formula we're going to use.
Yeah.
And it worked. Because at the end of the day, it's not just about going out there and paddling. And there's off the field, off the water activities as well that you need to understand your opponents. And if you don't, because you see, one of the teams that we were racing in Birmingham, right, caught us off guard. You know, what they did was, halfway into the race, they sped up a bit, didn't they? They sped up a little bit quickly because they knew they had the strength to continue that momentum right to the finish line. Most teams are going to say, we're going to do the speeding up right at the end. If we do it to start, we're going to burn out. And then, we're going to lose the race. We're going to slow down. So a lot of that information is needed. So understanding your opponents, what they do, how to do it, how to counter it. Some teams prefer to creep up on you at the end. When I was competing for Shadow Dragons in Al Noor, we beat teams like Zanzibar. How did we do it? They were a boat ahead of us. to 20 yards to go. But we crept up on them because we knew we can speed up at the end. By the time they realized what was going on, it's too late.
Too late.
It's absolutely, they can't do anything about it. And then, you know, this is how it is. This is Dragon Ball racing.
It reminds me of that old Honda advert. Remember that really revolutionary Honda advert where every single part plays, you know, into motion.
And they put it together into
and
a
then you
vehicle.
put it together as well. It's just great. Rocky, communication very important, camaraderie very important, chemistry very important. Am I right in saying that as well? So who's the little midget who sits at the back?
Or the front, you mean?
Or the front, sorry.
The picture shared in the group today, didn't you? About the guy in the front, right?
That's the one from Indonesia.
Because for the layman,
yeah,
or laywoman,
yeah,
it's just like some short guy or short girl just sitting there screaming
can
encouragement or singing or doing something
Or
as
drum.
well. Or the drum.
This is the Far East ones where they've got the kids that are doing a few little dance moves, isn't it?
I'll tell you why it's usually the smallest person or the lightest person. It's because of weight distribution.
Got it.
Right. A person that is only 45 kilogram is going to be better than somebody who's 90 kilograms.
Yes, of course.
Okay, so, and that's when it also comes down to weight as well, right? You have to distribute the weight. Some are right-handed paddlers, some are left-handed paddlers. If you go all right-handed paddlers, you're in trouble. Okay, but if you have all the paddlers, but the right side is heavier than the left side, it's not going to work. So you do the weight distribution, which is why, you know, he's done a fantastic job because you need to fit into the team. You might have the best paddler ever, but the weight distribution doesn't work. The boat's going to capsize because you're going at pace. The boat will capsize. So the weight distribution, when registering everyone, we need to know the weight and everything else, you know, so we know we can distribute the weight. On top of the weight distribution, the front of the boat needs to be lighter than the back of the boat. The back of the boat needs to be more powerful paddlers than the front because they're the engine room. We call them the rockets, you know. So there's so much technicalities that people don't understand. They don't realize until they go into it. I was shocked when I first went into Dragon about 4 or 5 years ago. You know, although it came quite naturally to me, there's so much to learn. But luckily, I was with the best, you know, and now I'm still with the best, you know. So
the JP, right?
Yeah, with JP, absolutely, because I've got people like Deepu who does all the analysis. It's very technical, you know. You got Sadiq, he's the power man, you know. He's got all the moral support and everything, the coaching and all of that. And you've got Sanurba, you know. Who does in sports science and everything. He's mentoring all of our paddlers. Then you've got Rakib coming in, you know. He's giving that extra, you know, extra ability that we need. You know, it's coming from a different angle. So everybody plays a part. It's like a one body. You cannot operate a Dragon Ball with anything less than that. It just doesn't work. You might be able to, you get on a boat, but you're not going to get very far.
Just
you need that team.
One thing I was going to just say is that I think I put it in one of the groups today that the JP current team, I think you mentioned earlier, I think there's about 3 or 4 that are with Typhoon. There's about 3 or 4 that are with Shadwell.
And there's a few with Bangla, there's a few up in Manchester.
And the actual thing is that they're actually that good that it's almost like Avengers Assemble, basically. That's how it feels.
Sounds like that.
It is. It literally is because
just a whole bunch of heroes and misfits. With extraordinary powers just coming together. It does. That's what I was thinking actually when you were describing it. Listen, I made a mistake inviting you guys on here because what we could have done is so exciting discussing about all these things. We could have actually done a sports show on each of these sports. I mean, that's how exciting as well. But again, this is food for thought going forward as well because I'd love to have you guys back here just individually to go. It's really exciting for me talking about these things. On the Dragon Ball side, this is my last question. And it's for Rocky, because again, this is a learning experience for me as well. I love these stories where it's almost like a Rocky Balboa type thing. Somebody who's come in 12 months in the job, just working, determined to push yourself in there. It's not easy, but you're on the verge of doing it. What's going to change? Because like you said, it's all about fine margins. It's all about preparing yourself for those 60 seconds. What are you going to do? And remember, there's youngsters, aspiring sports people, male, female, who are watching this, and this will resonate with them, the response that you'll give. What are you going to do differently that will entitle you a place on that boat?
For me, even like, I think it's all about learning from any of the lessons and mistakes that you make, right? So even yesterday while we was on that boat, I found that there was minor little tweaks where I was maybe out of sync, and you can learn from that. Even though it was in, I feel great success being part of that team. You always take things from being successful, but you always need to make sure you never lose, you always learn. That's the thing that I've always thought of, is that even if you fail at something or you think you've tried something and you couldn't quite get it, don't think that it's a failure or it's a loss. It's actually a learning, and you take that. And that was my journey last year. It's like, I didn't quite make the team. What can I do? I knew my things were quite easy. I needed to lose 40, 50 kilos, and I've done that. And whatever it is, it doesn't matter what journey you're on, you just need to work out what is it that you need to do, learn from it, and then go after it.
Yeah.
On that note, can I invite the community, the Jagannathpur family, to one of the biggest Naukabais event in 17th of August, which is at London Regatta Centre near City Airport. Jagannathpur Dragon will participate. We were winners last year by far margin, am I right?
Yeah.
Last year, with a big gap between the second and winners. So I want the entire community to come and support our Dragons team, be behind us, and inshallah we can pull another great result this competition.
Brilliant, and I hope to be there. As a Biani Bazari, I hope to be there as well. Got so many friends and well-wishers from within the whole Jagannathpuri community. It'll be a crime not for me not to attend as well. Every single invite, every single event that you guys have organized since Sonali Otit started the Upazila Cup, I've had the pleasure of being invited to. I haven't been able to make it to as many as I would have liked to, but the invites have come through. And it's not just, it's come from people who are in positions of leadership. Bokulba is constantly sending out personal invites as well. So, and again, it's a privilege, even if I haven't attended as many as I'd like to. People like Akik, for example, amongst my closest friends. So it's been an honor and privilege to always be invited to this as well. So I hope your community turn up. We know it's going to be a success as well.
It will be.
And we hope that you have a massive turnout, because apart from the sporting success that you enjoy, it will inspire the next generation of Jagannathpuris who are coming up the ranks as well. Now, going on to cricket.
Right.
Again, we know you like to spread your wings.
Right.
We know you guys are the money bags. And again, the money bags, you know what, there's a lot of Tanas and Upazilas, for example. They do have rich people amongst them, but they're not as giving. Again, this is not criticism of anybody. I have a community.
Can I just add something on that note?
Yeah.
Okay, so you might have people who can splash a lot of money around, okay, but the people who have passion for that sport are the people who actually are generous. For instance, Shiraz Bhai from Coventry, he's got huge passionate, about football, but more so on the dragon boat. He's from that previous generation, and he was absolutely generous. He sponsored us for 3 years, Without his help, we would not been able to compete in Birmingham, maybe, because don't forget, dragon boat racing is far more expensive than football.
It is.
Boating sport is more expensive, So with the likes of people like Shiraz Bhai, we were able to compete in these kinds of tournaments. Otherwise maybe it would have been a lot more difficult. Obviously we've got the whole Jagannathpur committee behind us, and I'm sure we would get all of the support. But with people like that, it makes it easy, just a little bit easier for us.
You mentioned money. I think I agree with you, but what Nanu is saying, that's more of a reality for us. I work in many different community circles doing other stuff like masjid and charity work, and I'm part of Shonali Otit as well. But one thing is different about Jagannathpur, brothers that we have in a background, they have passion behind Jagannathpur. Akik Bhai, he was our secretary for long term. Now he's very busy. He will still pop in to do stuff. Akik Bhai has been a backbone. Joshim Bhai, you've got our existing treasurer, secretary. We've got rocks coming in. We've got new brothers who's come in, Kabir, Ajmal Bhai. So there's a lot of brothers in our committee that really work together, and we learn to forgive each other. We don't take these issues at home. We really respect each other. Compared to any other committee, our committee really respects each other, gel well, forgive each other. If there's one thing we have, is how can we work for JP, not for individual. And I think that's the difference. Nanu, you've been there before me. That for me, that's why I love Jagannathpur so much. Because it's a platform full of unity.
Unity, yeah.
Jagannathpur Cricket Club. We've seen the introduction of cricket club. Phenomenal cricket team, if you ask me, because as someone who's involved in grassroots cricket, I took a keen interest, like I did with the football team. I had them down as my original favourites for the Upazila Cup. Taking a very, very close look at the cricket team over the last 2 years, because the Upazila Cup, you know, we've got an Upazila Cup in cricket as well. Salman I've known for many, many years, the brilliant Salman, as I like to refer to him. One of the great figureheads in community cricket, and it's a privilege for Jagannathpur. It's a privilege for him, obviously, first and foremost, but it's also a privilege for Jagannathpur to have that caliber of people. And you know what, you would never see him as a captain, because he's just there, he's sweeping, mopping,
exactly,
making the
all-rounder.
team. And then you think he's actually the captain of the team and one of the best players there as well. I mean, you know, these kind of qualities are just outstanding qualities as well. But cricket has surfaced in the last 2 years. For those of the viewers who are not watching, they might seem to still think that cricket is still a sport which is lower down the pecking order. It's not. It's absolutely massive. And obviously with the success of the Bangladeshi national team and with the success of Sylheti players, you know, in the diaspora as well. So cricket is huge. Jagannathpur, there's a funny story last year from the Upazila Cup, which I like to share because of my friends. So Gulaf Koinj, Beni Bazar's neighbours, our big brothers, little brothers, whichever way you refer to it as well. They were playing, it was a head-to-head in the last game. Winner goes through to the knockouts. Jagannathpur lost the game. Sorry, Jagannathpur, they won their game. Gulaf Koinj, they lost their game to us. Jagannathpur came out, Salman comes out with the rule book and he says, you've fielded an underage player. Because normally you don't. In football, yeah, in cricket, the only difference is when you field an underage player, they can't use the same changing room as the adults. You have to make sure. Like, you know, in county cricket, there's youngsters
there's restrictions and rules.
But there's restrictions. They can't be in the adults' changing room. You just need to make sure they got separate facilities. But they can go and play. But the rule for that tournament was no under 16s. They got grassed up. Gulaf Koinji got knocked out, which I found very funny because they are neighbours. I like to call them Everton. You know, they got knocked out, and Jagannathpur proceeded as well. Again, the cricket team, they have a district cup every year. I was the privilege to be the coach of the Sylhet team that won the Upazila Cup, the district cup, twice. And you know, the story doing the rounds all the time was there are some Jagannathpuris. They weren't ringers because technically they were born in Jagannathpur or they're Jagannathpuri, but they were either born or grew up or educated in Sylhet, and so technically they could play for Sylhet or they could play for Jagannathpur. Now, as we know, within our community, there are people who are very, very strong on that. They're like, it doesn't matter where I'm from, I'm still from Jagannathpur. I'm still from Gulaf Koinj. I'm going to represent my heritage, this other. But those players decided to play for Sylhet. And Jagannathpur always said, when they played in the district cup, obviously at Shunam Koinj, they were like, you know, you got 3 Jagannathpuris in your team in Sylhet. Right. And I didn't know. Technically, we were correct in taking them, but they were the most talented players. And I was like, imagine if they had them. We would have all been dust as well. So cricket is an upcoming sport. And you guys are like, how much emphasis are you placing? This is a question for all three of you, starting off with Hafiz. Yeah.
It started from Bokul by doing the Bangladesh sports event and doing a cricket
sports network
event. Yeah. And Salman was highlighted because of the work, like you mentioned, the work that he's done in the background.
Yeah.
So our journey, our first point of contact was Bokulbhai, then Salman. So last year we supported them as much as we can, but this year we had to revisit and say, look, we now need to, like you mentioned, we can't miss that gap. We need to make sure that we provide full support to Salman. So we're working on how can we get a team together with him. I've been to their competition. There are many Bangladeshi brothers who are involved in this, and I feel that we need British Bangladeshi cricket players. The brothers that we have, you know, they're doing amazing. There's nothing wrong with having there, but we need to have a balance.
We need to have a balance.
At the moment, our team is full of brothers who's been in the UK maybe 10, 15 years. We need to have a balance where we need to bring brothers that's born here, that sort of players in. So we are due to sit with Salman. We want to make sure that we provide the support, and we've got plans ahead. Again, how can we make sure that we get more Salmans involved? It becomes a bigger, and you know, that's what we're working towards at the moment. It's a work in progress, really.
Thank you very much. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to move on to the, we're going to wrap up. But before that, the most important thing is we talk about the Open Age Upazila Cup.
Yes.
Jagannathpur are doing very well. Again, I don't want to tempt fate, but congratulations on reaching the semi-finals yesterday. How did it go in terms of results?
Wow. You want to mention that?
Yes,
I was in Birmingham.
It was in Birmingham. They were paddling while I was there.
I can tell you a story after.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I must mention the
But your
Shunali.
heart was here.
Yes.
Yeah, it was. I was checking every 2 minutes.
Our journey started around 7 o'clock in the morning from Shunali point of view. We started around 8:30, and the team, the managers, we had to look around, and we absolutely believe that Kamal as a manager, with the help of Shuhel, who those two and the team they brought in, they've converted 2 managers into 6, and the 6 managers have the talent in different areas in football, and how they combined it and the players they had. I spoke to individual players, and all they ever spoke about is the management team. All they spoke about is how we played together. There was other great teams, outstanding players, but the gap was a lot of the team didn't play for each other. There were individual talents. And the difference with Jagannathpur, everyone played for each other. And, you know, alhamdulillah, we had a fantastic day. We won 4 games, conceding 0 goals. We were the only team did not concede a single goal.
Oh, that's astonishing.
Okay. Inshallah,
Astonishing, yeah.
3rd of August, we're in Milan Stadium, semi-final with Sylhet. I was born in Sylhet, so still have love for Sylhet, even though my roots are Jagannathpur. And so we're playing Sylhet in semi-final. Moli Bazar's playing Gulafganj. And inshallah, if we get to the final, we should be around 5, 6 o'clock. We really want, again, everyone to be behind them. I want to thank the parents, the younger generation, uncles, cousins. Yesterday, I never saw so many Jagannathpuris in one platform. People from all different age, all different background. I call it the football mela. That's what yesterday was all about. So well done to Shunali again, and please be behind your young team. They are your future. Come along, support them. Tell others to be there. Inshallah, we're going to have a good tournament.
I have to come in there just for 1 minute.
Please.
When this first concept came about, 3 months ago, I spoke to my Batis and I said, hey, you should go and compete in the competition. He goes, what do you mean, Upazila? What are you talking about? You know, he doesn't know anything about this. Okay. Fast forward 3 months, right?
Yes.
He's made into the team, and he's played. He actually came a day before from his holiday.
Yes.
He left his family to actually come and
That's
play.
right. Come
he
on,
was selected, right? He told me a few weeks ago, he said, Sasa, I never knew the manager lives in our village. Yeah. You know, he had no concept. I mean, he's been to Bangladesh, but he never had that concept of people living close to you that in this country, you know. So what the Upazila veterans did to us, the Open Age is doing the same to the next generation. And I'm really supportive of this. And I think this is the beginning of something new and something different. So, well done, Sonali.
Interesting thing that Hafiz mentioned there was, I believe, in my role as a coach, whether it's football or cricket, I've always believed in a big backroom team. And I know certain coaches may think that, you know, they feel a little bit threatened. They think, you know what, I just need myself there. Or that's one scenario. I don't need anybody else because they feel a little bit threatened, thinking, you know what, somebody else, I'm bringing in another big name, then it's having to share the glory and the limelight, or whatever way you look at it as well. Others will just think to themselves, I'll bring in a number 2, but I'll make sure that person is very, very average. Yeah. So they're there as a body, but I'm still running the show. And then you've got a small number of coaches, and I buy into that a lot, who will say, actually, no, the cake's big enough for everybody. I want the best people around me, because what you just said there, they're bringing in expertise. They're bringing in things that I myself cannot cover, simply because when I bring them in, if I bring the 4 quarters in and they make a whole, we can actually do it. And it's phenomenal. I didn't know you didn't concede a single goal yesterday as well.
Not a single goal. And those 6 managers, they used their own talent, and the way they did it, it was amazing to watch. It was unbelievable.
Just to add to that, so obviously I'm one of the 6 there.
Oh, you wasn't there, right?
No. Yeah. But you got just Kamal and Shuel have been amazing in terms of, I've seen the whole journey from when it started. The way they've worked together has just been absolutely superb. And exactly to your point, there's no thing of, oh, I'm manager or I'm assistant. No. And Shuel brought me in because of the Soitul Sharfara connection. And like you said, it's expertise in each different thing. So you've got a goalkeeper coach, you've got Habib there, who knows a little bit more about all the players and all the different leagues because he's a league manager. You got Zola, who's come in. He's a pure finisher that we've all known for so many years. So he's coming to work on finishing and make sure that from an attacking point of view, he's giving his views. Kamal already covers the defence. And then I came in from a bit more of a sports science and well-being, make sure that everyone's all motivated and ready to give it their all. So it's like a full gelled management team. And he's done little things like getting the whole team out for a meal. They spent about 4 or 5 hours playing pool, table tennis, FIFA. That kind of what you said about playing for each other, it can't be always Avengers Assemble if you don't know each other and you can't fight for each other. Yeah. Sometimes you've got to know each other on a personal level.
It reminds me of when England won the Rugby World Cup in 1995, Sir Clive Woodward. So I got obsessed with his coaching methods. I like to read up a lot in terms of inspirational coaches. And what he did was he did exactly the same thing. In a nutshell, I'm giving it. If you ever get the chance to read his autobiography, read it. But he used to follow the blueprint of Vince Lombardi, legendary NFL coach. He swore by it. His methods. You can use different methods from coaches in different disciplines and put them into practice in your own discipline as well. But he paid that attention to it. He left no stone unturned on every aspect from nutrition to health to sleep and everything. Imagine if he tried to do that all himself. But he brought in the relevant experts to make the changes. And hopefully, even Kamal Khan, for example, himself, he could probably make it into that starting lineup of his own team as well. That's how good he's there. Again, Kamal was one player for the last 3 World Cups, managing Team Bangladesh. He's always been travelling when I've named the squad. He's never been available. So I haven't had the pleasure of including him in my World Cup squad. But he's always captaincy material, but he was always travelling during that weekend, for example, as well. So you've got very, very inspirational figures. Now, yes.
My final message to the community is the Open Age is a great platform for parents that want their children to be involved in the roots, finding out what Jagannathpur can do for them, not just sports. It can really take them back home and it can build network and you can really keep your children amongst your community. So I welcome everyone. And also, Emdad, but we can't forget our vets. Our vets were the first journey of this sports club. We've got the 24th of August, our veterans will be participating in the 10th year of the competition.
You've got any fresh new vets coming in that we look forward to seeing?
We've got Shamim and Saeed, outstanding guys. They've worked since last year. They've been working throughout the year, and Shamim's passion for football and Saeed, inshallah, I've seen a lot of improvement. I strongly believe we've got a good team this year who can achieve success. I know we haven't got to that final. We haven't picked that trophy up, but we've always been sort of semi-final throughout every time. And inshallah, this year, we can break that hurdle and get to that final.
Rakib, your final thoughts?
just on this, the main thing, after yesterday, I just can't wait for August the 17th. That's one date that's on my mind more than anything.
You're determined to get there. Again, like I said, we'll be following your really, really inspirational, what you've mentioned. And I'll definitely be following this story with close interest. And you, sir, before you finish, how did you find the World Cup this year? You were leading on the organisation of the London Football League World Cup. See, Jagannathpur have got all the leaders.
We can have an entire day on the World Cup as well, But the World Cup did go according to plan. We had really good participants.
Great day out. Even though it wasn't great for Team Bangladesh, but it was a great day out.
The families come as well.
Yeah. That's brilliant, isn't it?
It really, really, really is good. When I first announced that, the World Cup is going to be played, Team Nigeria, like previous reigning champions, said we want to retain our title, and they're one of the first things, first teams to sign up. So, we want to make it bigger than what it is now. I think we've had this type of volume for a number of years now, and I think it's about time that we expanded. We start inviting different countries to come and participate. So, what's the space on that? Next year, we're hoping to make it even bigger than what it was in the last few years.
And congratulations to Team England for winning.
Team England has some fantastic players, They did have fantastic players in the past, but I don't think the team actually gelled to be, so they had some individual brilliance.
They were just phenomenal.
This year, you could tell from the beginning. Absolutely, I think Mamun Bhai is
man's got a tune out of them,
right?
Yeah,
he was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah,
and the confidence I saw in him just says it all.
No.
His eyes just says it all.
Just on that note, when England was smashing up all the other teams, I was looking for Mams and he was sitting behind the ball, just sitting behind the goal. Yeah. Everybody's on the touchline. He's sitting behind the goal, and that's how relaxed he was.
Yeah, because he knew he had the team. He participated for a number of years.
And he got it right.
Obviously, he goes about. He knows the players. He knows who's coming to which team and everything. And he's done a fantastic job. Yeah.
Emdad, thank you for having us in your show.
Yeah.
And my final message to our Jagannathpur family: 3rd of August, 17th of August, and 24th of August. So August is a full month for football, no kabais. Football for the open age, no kabais and vets.
And the vets.
Please come along, support your family, and make us proud. Thank you once again.
Ladies and gentlemen, there you had it. Like I said earlier, I do confess I made an error. What we needed to do with Jagannathpur is actually have a separate show on each of the sporting disciplines, because it's just, we could sit here and talk for hours and hours and hours on that. But going forward, this is a community sports channel. And I would invite these guys back again. And you know what, we could just have a separate show on, we could have Rakib back with these guys, talking about his journey, and we wish him the best of luck in breaking through. And I'm sure that in itself is a show in itself, just talking about the inspiration behind breaking into such a successful team. And again, we've got the cricket, and we've got the football, the open age, and everything else. So August is a very, very special month for Jagannathpur. We hope that everybody else who's watching this as well, that we can take. I definitely know I picked up so many gold nuggets from listening to these boys speak in the studio today as well. But like I said, these things don't come by through accident as well. They've had a whole host of people who have paved the way. There are people from within the Jagannathpur setup who have been there, who came here, who could not speak the language, who came with their clothes on their back. And as we like to refer to it in a detrimental sense, they came straight off the boat. They had to support their families back home. They had to deal with racism, housing, unemployment, you name it, violence. And despite that, they've set a legacy for sporting heritage as well. I mean, what can I say? You're all welcome anytime to come back into the studio, and we will keep in touch as well. Last but not least, a massive thank you from all of us to all the viewers who watch and support us day in and day out. This is Emdad, your host for the Sports Show. Thanks for watching.